Welcome to Ask the Divorce Whisper Facebook Live event. I'm your host, Marta Papa, and we're so glad that you're joining us today for this Facebook Live event where our goal is to demystify divorce so that people who are considering divorce can get real answers to their questions from experts that they might not otherwise be able to find or afford. Here's where you get free information that is absolutely relevant to a divorce. And so we do this on the first and third Friday of every month at 1 p.m. live on my Divorce Whisper Facebook page. And I interview an expert, a divorce expert that I've come across in my 35 years who I think is awesome. And I think that they have tons of gems of wisdom that they can give you for free. And I always start the session by asking them all the same question. If you could give only one piece of advice to a good friend or family member who is going through or considering divorce, what would that one piece of advice be? You can also send in questions that we can answer by writing them in the comments section below. And you can also review this video on YouTube under Ask the Divorce Whisperer. All our previous recordings are on there. So you can look it up by the name of our expert, which is Kris Caldwell for today. You can look it up by the name, and actually they're kind of in chronological order. It's going to be at the very top. So if you want to rehear what she has to say, or you think a friend of yours could really get value from what she has to say, but you don't want to say it to your friend, you can say, hey, check this out. I saw this on the internet today. I think it might help you. You'd be doing them a great service. You really would be a good friend. So let's go ahead and start today. I want to welcome Kris Caldwell, who is a financial advisor at Edward Jones. So I'm going to turn over to Kris just to say hi, so you can see her. Kris.
Hi, Marta. How are you?
And Kris has an interesting background, which really, Kris, you should go into after I ask you that one question. But I want to start like I always do, so people can get that one gem of if it was someone really important to you and they were getting divorced, and you're an expert in the field of divorce. What one piece of advice would you give to them?
It is so important that they involve a financial advisor during the negotiation process.
That I totally agree. And can you tell me, I have my own thoughts about that, but I want to know your thoughts because we're interviewing you. Well, that was a we're interviewing you, not me.
Right.
So why do you think it's so important? I do too, but why do you think it's so important?
You know, from the experience that I've had during divorces, a lot of people, both men and women, are focused on the right now. They want to get it over with. They just don't want to fight, but they need to realize that what they're negotiating isn't just for right now. It could be 10, 15, 20 years from now that is being affected by what you're doing in this moment. So it's very important that you can get a financial advisor because I have a wonderful program that will project your life out with your financial life to look at what you're negotiating today.
That is so important. So important.
I agree.
You know, even judges, when they're adding up what husband's taking and wife's taking, kind of in a spreadsheet style, and looking to see if, let's say there's $1 million, is wife taking 500, is husband taking 500, judges won't even let you introduce evidence about the future. They split it up for what it is on the date of dissolution, on the date you're in front of that judge. And so they consider $10,000 in the drive-through as the same as $10,000 equity in your car. You got to sell your car to get the 10 grand, right? The same as $10,000 in an IRA. got to cash in the IRA, pay taxes and penalties on it to get the money.
Right.
$10,000 in the drive-through at the bank is not the same as $10,000 in a 401k, but to judges it is. They just use the value of it today. And so you might think when you, I mean, I have clients look at that spreadsheet and say, well, I'm walking away with exactly as much as he or she is walking away with. And I say, no, you're not. Not really, because look at the value that you're taking. You're taking the value of, just had somebody yesterday taking the value, they were farming, right? And cattle, and they were taking the tractor and the backhoe and the something else and this for the hay barn, all things that are very easy to sell on eBay. All right. But, and the other person was taking some of the cattle, but some of the horses and the German shepherds. And I'm like, how much is that worth?
Right.
That's that you can't sell that on eBay. You're just selling German shepherds on eBay. And then the fencing around them. You're not feeling, you know, well, that's part of the farm, but if I was looking and be like, I want the cash stuff. I want the stuff that turns into cash like this, not the fencing around the cattle. Whose field is that going to fit? Right. And how easy is that going to be able to sell? So, yes, they're looking at today, and it's really hard as a lawyer for me to get them to look at the future. And so the best way for me to get them to look at the future is to hire a financial analyst like you, because that's all you do. That's what you know. You do other stuff, but that's what you are really an expert about. And they don't start asking you questions about the dog and German shepherd and their grandchild, and they kind of stick with money when they're talking to you and listen to you about money advice for the future, near future, far future. And that is all news to their head. They have not thought that through yet. And it's the first time it's going
my lady friends.
And pardon me?
Especially my lady friends.
Okay.
Usually women are, statistically, they are alone from 75 to 90 years old.
Wow.
So there's usually 15 years where the woman is usually financially self-supporting.
Right.
And so I'm trying to get them to see that what they're fighting for now,
yes,
is going to affect those 15 years down the road.
Yeah. Right. Right. And they aren't thinking about 10 years from now, let alone when they're all alone. Right. No, they're not. You are so right. And I think I don't want to, I don't feel anything sexist about it. I just think people take on their own roles. Right. During the divorce. Usually that's between year 1 and 7. Husband and wife are jockeying for who's in charge of what. That 1 to 7 year, that's why there's so many divorces at year 7. It's not the 7-year itch. It's the 7-year wisdom of, I see I have no power in this relationship. Or I see I have power over home things and he has power over financial things. And we share the power over the children. Is that okay with me? Well, if I trust him with the finances and I don't think I'm getting divorced, that's an okay way to live, to divide up if he mows the grass, I don't have to go mow the grass after that. So you divide up naturally the jobs that need to be done, not thinking that you might be in charge of all those jobs if you get divorced and you're going to be an expert on the home and the kids and the pediatrician and this, but you aren't going to know a thing about investing. Nothing.
All I ask is that if you want to divide, so I hear a lot of ladies tell me today that I'm in charge of today's money, he's in charge of tomorrow's money.
Okay.
If that's comfortable for you, but all I ask is educate yourself. Know where it is. Have a plan in case something does happen, because 8 out of 10 times something happens.
Yeah. It does. You're right.
And what is the divorce rate?
You guys first.
Right.
Yeah. And it's
6 out of 10?
50-50.
Yeah. So it's just, you just know where it is. I've had plenty of cases where a divorce is initiated and the wife doesn't know where the money is,
Well,
doesn't know how much is in the 401k,
no. Mm-mm.
doesn't know if there's life insurance policies, doesn't know any of that.
Yeah,
And so it's left up to an investigator to find it.
it is. It is. You know, if they mediate, we have them bring that all in, but that's only if there's a trust level between the two of them.
Right.
When I litigate, it costs me $500 to $1,000 for every subpoena I send out. That's not money I'm making. That's money that's going to Bank of America or Edward Jones or a trust to see how much money is there. And I don't know all the places to mail a subpoena to. So it's that it's a huge cost.
Right.
And my client's got to come up with the money for that cost.
Right.
The money's going to someone who delivers the subpoena. The money's going to the bank for copying, $1 a page. Then it's going to the certificate of record of who's in charge of that money. Then it's coming back to my office, but with a court reporter to make a record that bank officer gave me all that information. Then I got to make a copy of it for the opposing counsel, and I have to be there at that deposition. That's a lot of money. If he or she, if the other spouse who's not in charge of the long-term money, if they knew about it, then we wouldn't have to hunt it down. They'd have a record of it. We could use their record of it. But they might not even know all the places that it is. It's pretty easy to hide it.
Right.
It's really easy to hide it.
Just be involved. Go to the appointments. It's not comfortable sometimes, but go to the appointments with the financial advisor.
I was just going to ask you, how can they get that information? So when let's just use that scenario, when husband meets with the financial planner for the end of the year, don't you have to do an end of the year review?
An annual review every year.
Yes. Yeah. So go to that.
Go to it. Yes.
Go to it. He'll get mad. Too bad.
That's right. But see, IRAs are individual property, even though you're married.
Right.
So I still have to have permission from the spouse to speak in front of you.
Okay.
But you still have to know.
Well, it's still marital property. You know, It's individual property, but it was earned during the period. So half of it is hers and half of it is his. So if he says you can't come, that person should say it's half mine.
There's a problem with that. Yeah.
Half mine. And why do you not want me to go? That's very suspicious to me. Yeah. Yeah. I know. And it's hard to have those difficult conversations because a person feels like, don't you trust me? How dare you accuse me of anything? You know, they feel distrust, and I've done great for us, and how dare you? And you just got to get through that and know that it's half yours. Why would you not protect it? Why would you not want to know where it is and how it's performing? You might say, hey, I want this to be in mostly dividend income. All right. I want this to be put in stocks that do monthly or quarterly dividends because we're that close to retiring. Because I do have a lot of people that are 60, 65 years old, getting divorced, right. And all they're fighting about is the retirement at that point. Right. Yeah. Right. And one person's had nothing to do with it. And so the person who's been in charge of it.
Years.
That's right. So the person that's been in charge is like, hey, I did this. What do you know, why are you getting involved? Right. And it's like, because it's half of theirs.
Right. And if I could talk to my lady friends again, the ones that don't want to fight and just want to get it over with.
Yeah.
You're fighting for your future self.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're fighting for that retirement. You're fighting for the ability to be retired.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what else I notice when someone uses somebody like you is that you can be the buffer. You could be the bad guy. The client can say, look, I don't know anything about, I don't mean to distrust you. Of course I trust you. I love you. but I'm having an expert whisper in my ear here that I really should be looking at this because I'm going to be controlling half of it in the future. And so I need to learn about it. And so I'm going to do what she says. Well, you don't need to too bad, so sad. I'm listening to the expert. Okay.
Right.
You don't have my best interest at heart. You shouldn't, or you shouldn't be doing this. Right. So I'm going to listen to the expert. You can have an expert too. That's fine, but I'm going to listen to my expert. So sometimes they can blame it on you, and then you got broad shoulders. You can take it on.
I can take that.
You can take that on.
Absolutely.
And then you just start doing it. Yeah, I mean, okay, discussion over. Here's the paperwork. Let's start handing it out, and you're off and running. And Jack or John or whatever his name is doesn't have anything else to say about it. It's happening. It's happening. She's learning what you got. She's learning where it is.
That's all I can ask for.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can really be the buffer. I really see that you could, well, and really you're empowering an underempowered spouse who's not underempowered in everything, but underempowered in this one issue, which is such an important issue.
Right.
Yeah,
Totally
that's an
agree.
important issue. When another thing that you said that I'd like you to talk about, if you could, is always include a financial advisor with negotiations. Now, I love that you put the word with negotiations instead of always include a financial advisor with negotiations. Can you tell me what you meant by the word negotiation? Why'd you put that word in there?
Because it's usually at a time that is, there's a lot of go back and forth with, I'll give you this, you get take this, I'll split this, I'll take the cow, I'll take the fence, but it's knowing it, just having a financial advisor that is going to put those words, those numbers, those values into something that makes sense, into something that doesn't just look like a spreadsheet.
And what are you going to put it into that makes sense?
Well, I have a program that I will put in. So say he wants to, or the negotiation is $500 a month maintenance, half of my 401k, and then that's it. But there's more money on the table. So let me show you what that's going to look like. It's going to run out.
Yeah.
It's not going to sustain you.
Yes.
Right. So fight for it.
Yes.
Negotiate. And I have been subpoenaed. I have been, called in to talk about where I've come up with this program, or how does this program work?
Yes.
So it just puts a different lens on the negotiation process.
Yeah. Oh, I love that word. Yeah. It is a different lens.
Yeah. It turns on a different,
It's the future. It's the future. And we're all wrapped up in now. We're all wrapped up in the now and getting it done before trial date. We're all wrapped up in the now and not in the long-term future.
Well, and this program does make things a little bit more objective. You're not just saying, no, I want this. I want this. This is why I want it. And this is fair.
Mm-hmm.
It takes out the emotion and puts objectivity inside the negotiation.
Yes, I love it. That's great. That's great. Well, you know what? They're representing themselves. They're being their own lawyers. They're making their own decisions. And so nobody is an expert in everything. No. And so what you negotiate, if you're not an expert in it, you better read a bunch of books about it, or get with an expert, or have an expert. We have financial advisors come to mediation sessions when Jack and Jill are mediating, and they're here and they're saying, okay, this is what it looks like in the future, and they'll do 3 or 4 different programs. If you take 500 in maintenance, if you take 1,000 in maintenance, if you end maintenance in 5 years, if you may end maintenance in 10 years, here's the different programs. Here's how it works out. And there's nothing like the look on that person's face when they see a little a red highlight on this is when you're going to run out of money, and they track it back to the age. oh shit, I'm gonna run out of money at 72. I'm gonna live longer than 72. That is a rude awakening that they need, because at 52, they think I'm gonna be fine at 72. I'm gonna remarry, I'm gonna I'm gonna go to school, I'm gonna be fine. No, you're not gonna be. The likelihood is that you're not going to be fine at 72. And what other assets could you take? Because let's see where the other spouse is going to be at 72. And so sometimes one spouse is going to be whoop up there, and the other spouse is really taking things of the same value, but those things really are not assets. They really hurt you. A house really isn't an asset. It's a debt. It's something that doesn't, I mean, right now we're having a housing bonanza, but it's rare. It's rare that we have this. And a 401k, you don't have to wash the gutters, and you don't have to replace the roof, and you don't have to hire Terminex, and you don't have to pay property taxes on it. That 401k is just like no work, don't have to do any work, just keep putting it in, putting it in, putting it in. The stock market moves up and to the right, up and to the right. Houses don't always, cars don't always.
Right.
All sorts of things. Your clothing doesn't do that. Yeah. Yeah. So it's a whole new ballpark, I think. When they see it that way, it's like, and you know what, in all truthfulness, spouses that still really care about each other, that are mediating, when the spouse who has more money or makes a higher salary, let's say, when they say, okay, we're going to divide everything 50-50, here we go, but one spouse is making $3,000 a month, and the other spouse is making $10,000 a month. Okay, 10 years from now, where are we going to be? Right now, we're 50-50, but where are we going to be 10 years from now? Way, way, way different. And so I've seen spouses who are making the $10,000 a month say, I really don't want her to go bankrupt at 71. That is not my objective. Right. I can't live with her anymore. I don't want to live with her anymore. I found this other person, whatever. But my goal is not for her to be destitute and out of money at 71. So how else can we do this where it doesn't look so fair right now, but it is going to be fair in the long run? So they actually offer up. I see that we need to do maintenance for 10 years, not 5 years. We didn't even have to argue about that. The person was generous and fair enough to say, I see this isn't going to be fair. I'm going to have to offer maintenance for a longer time. I'm going to have to pay for college for the kids, and you don't have to pay.
But the only way that they're going to see that is if you pull back the microscope.
Exactly. That's right. That's you. That's right. I can't do that. I can tell them that, but I can't pull it back and show them. There's a big difference between hearing about Mars and seeing Mars through the telescope, and then seeing spacecraft on Mars. Those are three very different things. And one is huge expertise, and one is just, I learned about it in 4th grade or whatever. And you're the telescope on Mars. Hello, you are. Yeah.
Mars isn't usually a pleasant thing.
It's not.
So just, we and then it's an emotional thing. It's, so, my job is just to make sure it is objective, make sure it is fair, make sure we see what tomorrow brings. Yeah.
Anything else you want to suggest to them?
Just, I just from the experience that I've had, people want to hide their money.
Yeah, they do.
And it's going to be found. I mean, there's investigators, it's going to be found.
Yep. It's going to cost a lot of money to find it. And now you don't have as much money to divide, stupid. I mean, do they not get, I know sometimes I think hiding it, you're going to spend your money for the other party to find it. That doesn't make sense.
That's true. But that's because they don't want to spend, they don't want to give away their money. And I've been divorced. I've been there. I understand,
Yeah.
but I also understand what it's going to end up, what's the end route is going to be. I understand what that is. But if
Yeah.
I can just get, them to empower themselves, women to empower themselves,
Yeah.
women to support other women during this time,
Yeah.
that's why I do what I do.
And the cost to hire someone like you is approximately what? Can you give us any guidelines?
Well, I mean, there's several different programs that you can be a part of. So you can be a commission or a fee base, but that would be something, I mean, most financial advisors would offer what I'm talking about, the projection services at no cost. So it would be at no cost for me to give you a projection.
And then you take that projection to the other side and say, why would I agree to this?
Exactly.
I'm going to run out of money in 7 years. Why would I agree to this? And so now let's bring this person in and help us do something that's fair in the long run. And it's fair for our kids. Yeah. So for no cost, they can have someone like you look at their finances, look at proposals that maybe are on the table, or even it's the best if you can get to them before they even start making proposals. But so people can get you at no cost. That just amazes me, because I'm $3.50 an hour and I can't do what you do. And so I can't tell you how hard it is for me to push somebody to talk to somebody like you.
Because some people think I get paid like an attorney, and I don't.
I know. I know. You know what they say to me? They say they're just going to try and take my money. And I'm like, well, if you want Edward Jones to make your money grow, you can't keep it at Morgan Stanley.
Yeah,
you inherited it from your parents. They had it at Morgan Stanley forever. You burnt a bridge with Morgan Stanley. So if you want somebody to help you invest, it's going to be somebody besides Morgan Stanley. So if I sent you to 3 different people, they would say, you're eventually going to have to move your money over here, but you're going to get to decide how we're going to invest it. Long-term, short-term, dividends, how we're going to invest it. High risk, low risk. You get to decide all that, and I'll walk you through that. I don't care how you invest it. I'm just going to educate you about your decisions. And they're still afraid to go because they're going to take that money away from Morgan Stanley. I've had somebody come in and said, the 3 people you sent me to, they tried to steal my money. I'm like, no, they didn't. No, I know. And you know what? That money is still sitting in Morgan Stanley. It is. Not invested, sitting in the money market.
I was a softball coach in my previous life. I coached collegiate softball.
Yeah.
Real young in my career, that a good coach can change a game, a great coach can change a life. But it's the same thing with a financial advisor. A good financial advisor can give you a good investment recommendation, but a great financial advisor is going to invest in your life. So it's more about the person that you're dealing with.
Yeah.
Even though I love Edward Jones, but it's more about the person that you are working with.
That is awesome. That is awesome. I think that's a great note to end on. I can't think of anything better to say. That's an awesome note to end on, that's your life, that's your life's philosophy. And you're able to live that out through the career choice that you have made for this part of your life.
Yes,
so thank you so much. Oh, before we leave, I want you to give people a phone number of where they can find you if they want to talk to you after this Facebook Live event.
They can reach me at 636-537-0376.
Okay. And we're going to put that on the YouTube repeat of this presentation, so you can look that up. Why don't you say it one more time?
636-537-0376.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. I'm so glad our paths crossed, and thank you so much for your unbelievable financial advice. I wish I had a video of you running in my waiting room. I should probably do that. I'm not running in my waiting room saying, "Did you see that video? Now we're going to talk about money, people. Let's do it the right way." Yeah.
For having me.
All right. Thank you for coming. I really appreciate